Hi everybody, I'm Jeanne D'Arc in Ghana and I'm the medical office manager at the medical offices of Dr. Finger, Foot and Hand, and I'm going to tell you about effective healthcare management, how to be an effective healthcare manager. We are starting with the outline of the presentation. In this presentation, we are going to see the definition of management, 5 major functions of management, and give an example on each function, and then look at the 3 management styles and the strengths and weaknesses of each style. Let's start with the definition of management. Management is the act of engaging with the available resources to accomplish desired goals efficiently and effectively. So according to Boundless 2016, management is achieved in different functions, as we are going to see in the next topics. So when you're talking about management, it's like the leader or the manager engages with all of the resources that they have in an organization or a certain company and use those resources to achieve the company's goals. The 5 major functions of management is planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and then controlling. Let's start with planning. Planning is the process of thinking about and organizing activities which will help the organization to achieve its goals. So planning is all about sitting together and organize different activities in different departments on how the company will achieve its goals. One example of planning activity is when the manager has a meeting with other departments to organize and decide strategies to use to achieve the company's goals. That meeting is known as planning meeting. The second function of management is organizing. When you're talking about organizing, there's assigning tasks, grouping the tasks, and then allocate resources across the organization. In organizing, the leader takes different departments, assign different tasks in the departments, and then allocate the resources in those departments so that those resources will help each department or each person to accomplish the tasks that he or she has assigned to them. One example of organizing is like when the manager is assigning tasks to, like, for example, in the medical office of Dr. Finger, he may think to give different departments certain tasks so that the medical or organization will accomplish its goals at the end of the year. The third function is about staffing. Staffing involves getting and retaining human resource and then develop and maintain the workforce using different strategies. One example of staffing is when the manager gives trainings to new employees on how to reach the company's vision. When the trainings are taking places, that is one way of staffing within an organization. The fourth is about leading, which is all about giving direction, setting plans, and motivate others. When you're talking about leading, you can understand that there is the word leader. So the leader takes the lead, gives direction, and set plans for others, and then motivate others so that they can accomplish a mutual goal. One example is the supervisor listing ways and make a work plan on how to follow the tasks so that they achieve the company's goal. The fifth, which is the last function of management, is controlling. Controlling involves measuring and verifying the performance with the intended goals and plans. So controlling works in hand with planning. When starting a project or a plan, you sit together and then project what will be the last solution. When controlling, then you measure or verify if what you have written or how you have said in the planning function, you are accomplishing it. That is all about controlling. One example is when the manager has check-ins with employees every end of the month to check their progress. That is one way of controlling. So after seeing the function of management, let's see the 3 management styles. 3 management styles, there is directing, delegating, and then discussing. The first, which is directing, it's all about listening to and following instructions. Directing is a way of an upward direction of communication where the upper leader gives direction on what to do, how to do it, and when it is due. So one person is in charge when you are using directing management style. Strength, there are strengths and weaknesses on this management style. It helps the work to be done as the manager wants it. It is concise, it's not time consuming. It can work in case of emergency of a certain task because the leader will go there and tell you what to do. And another strength is that one person, which is the leader or the manager, is in charge of giving instructions. There are some weaknesses where there is no space to give ideas for the rest of the workers. Another person cannot give an idea on how to do the activity. And when one person is leading the activity, he or she may miss something while giving instructions, and then the task may be done wrong. It is a kind of dictatorship. When one person takes the lead, only giving direction, it's one kind of dictatorship. Another thing is that employees don't feel comfortable to approach the supervisor when you're using directing management styles. So one scenario using directing management style is when the marketing director of Co Limited had a meeting with the marketing agents. He was giving them instruction of going in all regions where they work, reach out to people, giving them surveys, baseline, to see how the company is working with different people in those areas. So that time the marketing director was giving instructions, giving them the baseline surveys to use, and giving them the time it is due. No one was allowed to give other comments or ideas on how the task will be done. The second management style is about delegating. It's a kind of empowering employees to work independently. Here, employees set their goals and implement them in their ways, and employees are there to criticize their performance so that they can improve. The strength of delegating is that it builds confidence in employees, it increases performance because they work for themselves, and helps the supervisor to focus on other things. There are weaknesses where employees may not reach the organization goals as they wanted it. Employees may not be focused because they are controlling themselves, and can only be used on people with enough skills. When someone don't know something, you cannot use delegating management style. The scenario where here the human resource of safe water delivery organization tells all employees to go analyze the performance of the organization on that time, and then plan how they will reach 100 people by giving them safe water in the next month. That time the manager were giving a hand to employees to go analyze the performance and make strategies for themselves. That this is a good example of delegating management style. The last management style is discussing, which is all about collaboration between the leader or the manager with other employees. Here, there is a communication between the employees and the manager, among employees themselves, and among employees and their supervisor. In discussing, there is strength of the discussing management style, where it created a special link between the employees and the supervisor. It builds commitment among all members because they have to work together to accomplish a task. It gives space to every member to talk his or her idea, and it concludes a meeting or an activity with a mutual conclusion. As it has some weaknesses where it cannot be effective if employees don't have confidence. If you want to use discussing management style, you have first to build the confidence in your employees so that they can tell you everything they think. It is time consuming because everyone needs to talk, and employees may fail to respect their supervisor because they meet in different activities and talk wherever they want. And the last weakness that can lead people to fail or to come up with mutual ideas. When people are discussing and there are many in a certain company organization, they may fail to have the mutual ideas. So one scenario is when Goshen Limited had a meeting as a whole company to brainstorm new strategies to expand the company. That time, every member was supposed to share at least one proposal on how to expand the company. This is a good example of discussing management style, where the manager and other board members of the company were sitting together to come up on how the company will succeed. So those are the three management styles in the five function of management. I hope it will help you to be effective healthcare manager on how you will manage well your organization and come up with a good and mutual conclusion as the whole company. Thank you very much.